Iron Mike, a beast in the ring, is known for his knockout power, which has been sufficient to stop contenders from around the world in the first round, adding victories to his record by knockout. With very few boxers having been able to defeat him, he still holds the title of the youngest heavyweight champion in history, remaining a true executioner of the boxing ring. It wouldn't be until he faced an opponent with a lesser record but with determination, composure, and immense strength that, under his status as a hunter, he would end up being hunted. Welcome, we hope you're seated because you're about to witness one of the most brutal fights in the discipline. Long before the bout took place, the fight was named the event of the year 2002 by the Ring magazine, following the events during the press conference where the announcement was made. The encounter was scheduled for June 8th, and in the early years of a new millennium, many boxers were eyeing a fight against an Iron Mike who was close to completing 20 years in the discipline. Unaware of when to retire, with a life full of ups and downs, Tyson continued accepting fights with the hope of proving that the fearless beast within him still existed, unleashed by the sound of the bells, capable of stopping any opponent in minutes, even seconds. Tyson didn't necessarily represent an easy opponent to defeat. However, the passage of time and poor decisions were starting to take their toll, stripping him of the image of the undefeatable boxer. Now, it would be Lennox Lewis's turn to shine, with a performance pleasing to the fans, which had led him to collect several titles on his way to the fight against Tyson. The event of the year would also be Lewis's first defense of the World Heavyweight title from the World Boxing Council, the International Boxing Federation, and the Ring magazine's heavyweight title. It seemed like Lewis had decided to go for broke. And precisely, going for broke would be what happened during the press conference on January 22, 2002 in New York City. After being introduced, Tyson would step onto the stage and fix his gaze on the direction from which Lewis was supposed to emerge. As soon as he did, he walked directly towards him, only to be stopped by one of Lennox's bodyguards who pushed him back. The incident gave Tyson enough reason to adopt a fighting stance and throw a left punch at the bodyguard, which would miss. As a result, Lewis raised his fists and threw a punch, while a dozen officials from the World Boxing Council and members of both camps began to climb onto the stage. It was a chaotic scene, with strong shoves that caused both fighters to fall to the ground. There, Tyson, who had suffered a cut on his forehead, would bite Lewis's leg. As soon as calm was restored in the venue, the agenda continued as it should, with both boxers saving their desire to confront each other for release in the Pyramid of Memphis, Tennessee, months later. Tyson would enter the ring with a professional record of 49 victories, 43 of them by knockout and 3 losses. His legacy spoke for itself, although he appeared nervous wandering around the ring during his introduction. Lewis's record approached Tyson's with 39 victories, 30 of them by knockout, 2 losses, and 1 draw. With a profile that made him look like a challenger, he was about to surprise all those who didn't bet on him. With the bell ringing to start the fight, Tyson would leave his corner with the desire to honor his best years, aggressively attacking Lewis until he made him retreat and positioned him against the ropes. As seconds passed, the level of strength would equalize, making Tyson's offense not as effective as before, which eventually began to curb his eagerness for an early knockout. Tyson would jump towards Lewis once again at the beginning of the second round, who would intercept him and start to prevail with occasional body attacks while still paying attention to his opponent's irrational behavior, cleverly analyzing every move to detect his weaknesses.
At the end of the jab, he's trying to work around it and get below.
In the third round, Tyson would continue trying to revive his golden era. However, the recklessness of his offense, composed of attacks that made him neglect his guard, was Lewis's best ally. Lewis, with the patience to wait for the opportunity and deliver the right blow to inflict severe damage to his opponent. Lewis's good foot coordination, coupled with the great ability to lean his body from the waist, complicated the work for a Mike Tyson who, if he continued presenting himself with an explosive fighting style, would end up exhausting himself before reaching the end of the agreed rounds, making him an easy prey for a predator who seemed to have no hurry to hunt. Lewis began punishing Tyson during the fourth round, who seemed to have been gathering information about his opponent's fighting style, now relied on a more aggressive offense to actively work towards his victory. With this change, Tyson would experience his first knockdown to the canvas. With less than 20 seconds left in the episode, Tyson, lying on his back, looked astonished at his adversary, whose punches in less than 3 minutes had been enough to achieve what he had been pursuing since the beginning of the fight. After the confidence boost of knocking down the youngest heavyweight champion in history, Lewis jumped into the 5th round to exert a little more pressure with the intention of breaking his opponent. Tyson's wounds, by the 6th round, were sufficient proof that his body had absorbed powerful blows that might have knocked out any other boxer who didn't have his resilience and willpower to go the distance. Far from appearing defeated, the Great Iron Mike gave it his all during the 6th episode, even though his artillery had been depleting and what remained in him was not enough to counteract the damage Lewis was inflicting almost effortlessly. Lewis's attacks during the 7th round resembled those of a cat playing with the mouse he is about to annihilate. While Tyson faced an internal struggle to stay on his feet, not lower his guard, and try to attack. Lennox's confidence on the ring gave the feeling that the fight would end only when he decided he had had enough and would release his victim from the pain of the confrontation. Hold on. Before we tell you the outcome of this bout, we want to take a couple of seconds to invite you to leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed our narration so far. Remember, at Golden Boxing, we immortalize the best and worst moments of the discipline, so you can subscribe to our channel, activate the notification bell so you don't miss any. Almost halfway through the 8th round, a combination of left-right would make Tyson squat, requiring a safety count to determine if the fight would continue. At the count of 8, the bout resumed only for Lewis with a powerful right hook to leave the Great Iron Mike lying on the canvas, unable to get up, finally escaping the punishment he was being subjected to. Following the events during the bout, the Ring magazine would once again mark a historic milestone, naming Tyson's knockout as the knockout of the year 2002, being one of the few categories where the Great Iron Mike probably had no intention of standing out in his entire career. As a consequence of the riot caused by Tyson's irreverence and Lewis's bodyguard's drastic response at the press conference, Jose Sulaiman, the president of the World Boxing Council, would file a lawsuit on August 1, 2002. For $56 million against Lewis and Tyson. The chaotic tumult had led him to hit his head against a table and become unconscious. Now that you know how the event of the year 2002 ended, why do you think Tyson's explosive fighting style lacked power against a calm but practical Lennox Lewis?